Welcome to EduTutva Career Info Series. Right off the bat, I want you to take whatever image you have in your head right now of a farmer. Maybe it's someone in overalls holding a pitchfork out in a field and just completely throw it out the window. Today, we're tearing down that old stereotype to explore a highly advanced, fiercely interdisciplinary field that is literally responsible for the future survival of our global food supply. In this explainer, we're going to completely demystify agricultural engineering, which you'll also hear called AgTech. And honestly, more importantly than that, we're going to figure out if you actually have these specific psychological wiring to build a successful career in it. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. Beyond the tractor. 2. The 4-year core curriculum. 3. Career pathways and industry giants. 4. Heavy mechanics versus high tech. 5. Psychometric alignment. And finally, number 6. Are you built for this? All right, let's jump right into section 1, Beyond the Tractor. We're unveiling the true reality of AgTech. So, agricultural engineering is incredibly unique, mostly because it sits exactly at the intersection of two totally different worlds. Think about it. On one side, you've got the rigid, highly mathematical world of traditional engineering. We're talking mechanical, civil, chemical, and electrical. But then, on the other side, you're dealing with the unpredictable, living world of biological sciences like soil science, agronomy, and environmental ecology. You aren't just designing a machine, right? You're designing a machine that literally has to interact with living plants, crazy volatile weather, and really complex soil chemistries. It heavily brings in automation, data analytics, and the Internet of Things to optimize sustainable natural resource management. It's a massive challenge. So, how do you actually get your foot in the door here? Well, to pursue a BE or BTech in this field in India, your basic academic gateway is a 10+2 background in physics, chemistry, and mathematics, your standard PCM. However, if you have a PCMB background, meaning you've got biology in the mix too, you actually hold a distinct advantage. You're highly preferred, especially in those state agricultural universities. But beyond just having the right grades, the core competencies you need are super fascinating. You need sharp spatial reasoning and analytical problem solving, sure, but you have to combine that with environmental empathy and a real aptitude for working with living systems. Getting in generally runs through major exams like JEE Main, the specialized ICAR AIEA, or state-level CETs like Karnataka's KCET. Moving on to Section 2, the 4-year core curriculum. This takes us all the way from calculus to precision agriculture. Let's look at how this degree actually builds over 8 semesters. It's like a giant puzzle coming together. In Step 1, your foundation years, spanning semesters 1 through 4, you're mastering the heavy engineering math. Calculus, linear algebra, statistical data analysis. But right alongside that, you're looking at the physical properties of soil and the hydrological cycle and fluid mechanics. You're analyzing the kinematics of machinery while simultaneously learning crop physiology. Then in Step 2, which is semesters 5 through 8, you pivot into your core specializations. This is where the training wheels completely come off. You take all those fundamentals and actually apply them to designing farm machinery, engineering highly pressurized drip irrigation networks, optimizing post-harvest dairy tech, and even deploying IoT precision farming utilizing drone technology and GIS mapping. Okay, Section 3, Career Pathways and Industry Giants. Let's answer the big question. Where do agricultural engineers actually work? The sheer diversity of this profession is just incredible. You could step into a role as a farm machinery design engineer, literally developing next-gen autonomous harvesters. Or maybe an irrigation systems engineer, where you're laying out massive, complex micro-irrigation networks. You could become a post-harvest tech consultant, optimizing cold chains to prevent food spoilage, which, by the way, is a massive global issue right now. Or how about a precision agriculture specialist analyzing drone telemetry and soil moisture sensor loops? Or even a watershed management officer designing check dams to control soil erosion. Like we said earlier, you are definitely not just sitting on a tractor. You are engineering the very systems that make food production possible. And to really prove the immense commercial viability of this field, just take a look at the heavy hitters actively hunting for these exact skill sets. You've got your massive original equipment manufacturers, giants like Mahindra, John Deere, TAFE, and Kubota. Over in the irrigation space, you have titans like Jane Irrigation and Netafim. On the food and FMCG processing side, massive corporations like ITC, Amul, and Nestle are constantly hiring to streamline their processing plants. Add in this booming, fast-paced sector of AgTech startups focusing on drone mapping and automated logistics, plus the huge government and research entities like IKAR and NABAR, and you are looking at a heavily recruited engineering profile. Let's shift into Section 4, Heavy Mechanics versus High Tech.
We're looking at the intra-field contrast here.
So, which side of the technological fence do you think you lean toward? In this field, there's actually a fascinating internal split. Over in the farm power and machinery camp, you've got this heavy mechanical, structural, and hydraulic regime. It's incredibly tangible. You're out there designing robust tractors, testing harvesting blades, and building multi-crop tools literally out in the dirt. But then, on the exact opposite side, you have precision agriculture and AgTech. This is the digital, analytical, cloud-based realm. Over here, your output isn't a tractor at all. It's a variable rate fertilizer script optimized via satellite, or you're programming autonomous drone mapping paths. Basically, one camp gets grease on their hands, and the other parses lines of code and data loops. It's totally up to your style.
Which perfectly brings us to Section 5, psychometric alignment. Are you actually psychologically wired for AgTech? Let's break down exactly who thrives in this environment. Under the Holland Code, or the RISEC framework, the realistic profile is extremely dominant, simply because this work is so hands-on and outdoors. But you also need those investigative traits for researching complex biological variables. Over on the MBTI side, the logistician, or the ISTJ type, absolutely excels at maintaining rigid post-harvest quality controls and tracking complicated supply chains. Then you have the ISTP mechanic type. They're just a perfect fit for real-world troubleshooting of that heavy farm machinery we talked about. Meanwhile, the INTJ architect type, they thrive on the high-tech side, acting as the systems thinker needed to design complex national irrigation networks or those automated farming software platforms. Finally, Section 6. Are you built for this? We need to talk about the risk factors and profiles to caution. Because look, let's be honest, this field is not for everyone. If you're an INFJ or an INFP, those are the creative idealists, you might love the idea of eco-friendly farming, but the daily reality of highly commercial industrial food processing, it might feel a bit cold or detached from your core philosophies. What about social facilitators like ESFPs or ENFJs who absolutely crave vibrant people-first office settings? You guys might find the solitary nature of remote site visits and deep data processing incredibly isolating. If your RESC code is heavily artistic, just a quick warning, the strict biological and mechanical limits of food production really leave very little space for non-functional or subjective visual experimentation. And if you're heavily social dominant, you have to remember that your primary focus here is on machinery, crops, soils, and data, not human counseling or emotional therapy. The ultimate reality check really boils down to this. Volatile living materials and dusty rural fields just aren't for the sterile 9-to-5 desk job seeker. Unlike standard mechanical engineering where your materials are pretty predictable and inert, here you're dealing with perishable living materials and totally unpredictable weather. It requires adaptability, it requires resilience, and honestly, a willingness to step out of a nice, climate-controlled urban office space and into the very real, very dusty elements where our food actually grows. So, after taking a hard look at the heavy machinery, the high-tech drone mapping, the interdisciplinary science, and the intense psychological demands, the big question remains, will you engineer the future of our food? Follow us for more. For psychometric-based career counseling, contact us.